3-1. Slider, deep, this game's tied! His name is Dan Uggla!
Dan Uggla had perhaps one of the weirdest career trajectories in modern MLB history. Over the course of about a decade and a half, Uggla went from All-American college player to struggling minor leaguer to Rule 5 draft pick, and finally to one of the best hitting second basemen in baseball. And along the way, he became one of the game's most interesting players. However, just as it seemed that Uggla was getting ready to set himself up for a superstar career, he vanished almost as suddenly as he had burst onto the scene. So what happened to Dan Uggla, and what made his career so special? We'll get to that in just a bit, but for now, all you need to know is that his name is Dan Uggla. This is Sports Oddity. Our story begins in Memphis, Tennessee, where a certain 5'10" infielder was starting to make a name for himself at the national level. After becoming a starter in just his sophomore season at Memphis, Uggla exploded onto the national scene in 2001. That year, he would post a batting average of .379 to go along with 18 home runs and 69 RBIs for the Tigers. It was a performance that gained him a ton of exposure to both scouts and baseball media alike. And with that added exposure came a bunch of major league teams that were looking for steals in the middle rounds of the draft. And that June, the Arizona Diamondbacks would pick him up in the 11th round of the first-year player draft, en route to doing some other things that year. But while Uggla and the Diamondbacks started off the new millennium with a bang, things would slowly cool off for both the team and the player. While the Diamondbacks slowly became one of the worst teams in baseball, Uggla was having a hard time adjusting to the minor league level. Even though he was well known for his power as a prospect, Uggla only managed to hit 5 home runs in his first full professional season in 2002. And between 2001 and 2005, Uggla would play at pretty much every single level in the Diamondbacks farm system except for AAA and MLB. This came to a head in 2005, where after he put together a pretty decent season at the AA level and hit 7 home runs against top prospects in the month-long Arizona Fall League, Arizona ultimately left him off their 40-man roster. For as much talent as Uggla had, the Diamondbacks just didn't seem to see him as a major league option. But luckily for Dan, there was another team that did. Knowing that they were going to lose their starting second baseman to free agency, the Florida Marlins were looking for a way to fill out their infield. But rather than make a trade, find somebody cheap in the free agent pool, or bringing up one of their own prospects, the Marlins decided to take a chance in the Rule 5 draft and select Uggla from the Diamondbacks. In general, Rule 5 picks are not the best investments. They very rarely work out in any meaningful way, and if they don't, that leaves a pretty difficult decision for teams. They can either keep them on the roster for the rest of the season and potentially keep some better players off that roster, or they can send them back down to the minors and give up their rights back to their former team. But in Uggla, the Marlins saw a major league potential that apparently the Diamondbacks just didn't see. And in his first full season in the majors, Uggla would show just how right the Marlins were and just how wrong Arizona was. In his first 3 games at the big league level, Uggla would record 4 hits, 2 of them being doubles. His first home run would come just about a week later, and then a week after that, he'd record his first stolen base, which naturally was a steal of home. From there, things just kind of started to snowball for Uggla as he slowly became accustomed to the major league level. He would end his 2006 season with 27 home runs, a new record for rookie second baseman, and he would add on to that 26 doubles, a 112 OPS plus, and 4.2 FWAR, while only missing 8 games in the entire season. As a result, He'd be named to the All-Star team as a rookie that year, and he would finish third in Rookie of the Year voting. Over the next 5 seasons, Uggla would prove himself to be one of the best second basemen in baseball, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Whereas most middle infielders of his generation were mostly known for their gloves and not their bats, and especially weren't known for their power, Uggla, as well as players like Chase Utley and Robinson Cano, were starting to flip that narrative around, and proving that middle infielders, and second basemen in particular, can also hit for power. In this way, Uggla became the new prototype for the modern second baseman, as whatever he lost by his lackluster glove would be more than made up for by the pop in his bat. This dichotomy was probably best exemplified by the 2008 All-Star Game, which really showed the highs and lows of Uggla's playing style. At the time, Uggla was having one of the best offensive seasons of his career, and once again, he was crushing home runs like no one's business. In fact, he was so proficient that he was asked to participate in that year's home run derby, in addition to being named a reserve for the All-Star team. But while he had a lot of fun hitting dingers the night before, the actual game would be anything but for Dan Uggla. After replacing Chase Utley in the 6th inning of the game, Uggla would go on to set a new All-Star Game record by committing 3 errors, 2 of which were on consecutive plays, and all of which were in extra innings. But even after that embarrassing moment, Uggla would still have the last laugh at the end of the year, as he would post yet another career high in home runs, along with a 126 WRC+. At that point, it seemed as though Uggla was poised for success for years to come. In 2010, he would post the best season of his career, putting up a 135 WRC+, hitting another 33 homers, winning the Silver Slugger Award, and receiving MVP votes for the first time ever. That off-season, his performance would finally be rewarded with a big contract, as he would be traded to the Atlanta Braves and immediately sign a 5-year, $62 million deal. And what did he do to celebrate his first year in Atlanta? Well, nothing much. Just 36 home runs. Oh, and a 33-game hit streak, the longest of the 2010s. You know, no big deal. And that's just how things went for Dan Uggla. Between 2006 and 2011, the first 6 seasons of his career, Uggla hit 190 home runs. No other second baseman had more than 145 in that same time period. And only Cano, Utley, and Dustin Pedroia would have a better WRC+ during those 6 seasons. But unfortunately for Uggla, even though he would make his first postseason appearance and his 3rd All-Star team in 2012, it started slowly becoming apparent that something was turning sour for the superstar. The warning signs first started to show in 2011, where even with his 33-game hit streak, he still saw his career-high batting average of .287 in 2010 go all the way down to .233 in 2011, with his on-base percentage and slugging percentage both taking 50-point hits. Somewhere during this time period, Uggla started to have serious problems with his eyes, and he wasn't able to see the ball as clearly as he needed to be an elite hitter like he was previously. This became an even bigger issue in the 2012 season, where not only did he continue his lowered output from 2011, but the problems with his eyes were also starting to take away from his trademark power, as he saw his home run total also go down by nearly half. By 2013, Uggla's batting average would go down to a measly 179, and his slugging percentage would go down to the lowest point of his entire career. And even though he would end up getting LASIK surgery late in the season that year, it just still wasn't enough to save what was left of his career. In 2014, he would be released by Atlanta, and after 2 short stints with the Nationals and the Giants that both led to the same level of success, Uggla would be forced to retire at the age of 35, thus putting an end to one of the most promising, frustrating, and downright weird careers in Major League Baseball history. Unfortunately, Dan Uggla didn't get to have the storybook ending to his career, but he serves as a great reminder that You don't have to have a Hall of Fame career to have a memorable one. He's still the first second baseman in MLB history with 30 home runs in 4 straight seasons. He still has his Silver Slugger Award, his 3 All-Star Game appearances, and those 6 seasons where he was one of the most feared hitters in all of baseball. Not to mention still having the second most home runs in Marlins history and the longest hitting streak in Braves history. The peak of his career may not have been all that long, but it was strangely beautiful and endlessly interesting, which is a big reason why he still holds such a big place in a lot of baseball fans' hearts even to this day. For those fans, baseball had a name in the mid to late 2000s, and that name was Dan Uggla. How's it going, everyone? Connor here with the Diamond, and thank you so much for watching this episode of Sports Oddity. If you like what you saw, you can check out more of our content by clicking the link right next to me, or if you're in the mood for more baseball content, we've curated some of our favorite baseball videos into a playlist that you can check out down below. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media at The Diamond US on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.